Don't know if I'm on a high or scared, and I feel like the king of a pile of shit. With a haze and mist, got my brain all twisted, letting them skip. And I feel like the guy sometimes, I feel like the running the litter in your ass.
Everyone, please make a bit of noise for...
Hello. Thanks for being here, everyone. It's like a mad turnout and amount of people, so yeah, appreciate you coming down.
Can we just like, before we get the Ableton up, can we get a bit of a...
But like, I'd been making music for a long time before I even started working there. Around 15 was when I got my first like bit of cracked music software. And yeah, I guess...
We pay for it now.
Yeah, we pay for it now. Definitely now. But yeah, I guess that was kind of...
What did you start on?
So the first software I had was Cubase. My cousin gave me that, and I literally didn't know what I was doing at all. But I just like started chopping up bits of audio and like trying to piece something together. And then not long after that, at my school, I was doing piano lessons at the time, but they then introduced music tech. Mm-hmm. So I stopped doing the piano lessons, and my music tech teacher there, his name was Thor. He gave me Logic.
Wow.
Yeah. Shout out to Thor, because yeah, if it wasn't for him, like he was really actually quite...
Your music teacher gave you a crack?
Yeah.
What?
Well, he was like,
Big up Thor.
Yeah. He was like one of those that came in externally. Okay. And yeah, he sort of loaded me up, and yeah, he was ahead and gave me like the first entry point to Logic. And
what was your vibe at school? Was it like making beats for rappers in your school? Like what was it?
Yeah, so
Jazzy was the...
It was like early days of grime. There was a lot of MCs. I didn't really want to be an MC at the start, but I wanted to participate, so I started making beats for the MCs there. And I was in like Black Market and Uptown Records every week buying grime tunes. They also had a couple turntables at school, so I'd bring like 5 records in my school bag. Lunchtime, we'd go upstairs. Yeah, so it's just like, just grime in school was like the thing. But, at home, I was still listening to like hip hop, R&B. That was like my first like personal love of my own outside of what my parents had played for me. So just over time, it developed from me just trying to make grime beats and then opening up into the other genres that I love listening to.
And then after school, talk us through like your first kind of entry point for it being like, okay, this is going to be a thing. Like your first release was actually on Plastician's label, right?
Yeah, so after, because I did music tech for A-level, and then I went to uni, did music tech for 3 years there. And just spent a lot of time making beats with my housemates and just being around people like that. And then from there, I was like, cool, how can I find my way in music from here? So worked in recording studios, like I was training to be like an assistant engineer. So I spent quite a lot of time at working for Moloko. And I was placed at a studio called Assault and Battery in Willesden, which was mostly like a studio where they would have, like guitar bands and world music people come in to use the space. So I was learning a lot of music in that field. And then I also started working at Rinse.
And you were just helping with the recording sessions and stuff?
Yeah, I was just like training, like doing recall sheets, like really not knowing my way around that sort of environment at all, but learning how to be in a studio. Like how to conduct yourself and like the do's and don'ts. Like the first thing they said to me when I started working there was, when you're in a room, you say nothing. Like it's not your session, it's not your record. Just like, so it gave me some real like important early lessons in how to be in a studio setting.
Yeah, compared to like the average bedroom electronic producer who maybe is just using that and maybe interacting with one rapper that comes around. Actually kind of to where you've gone and some of the rooms you've probably been in, it probably gave you a really good understanding of that, right? I
mean, I was around some like pretty big artists in that world early on, so yeah, I just kind of found my feet in that situation. But then alongside it, I then started working at Rinse through a friend, Lily Mercer, who
shout out Lily,
runs Viper magazine and is like a music journalist and DJ herself, because I was working at that time whilst being in the studio. Sorry, it's like so many things happening at once, but I was working with rappers, Isnate and Piff Gang, who were like from the area doing like alternative rap stuff. So I met Lily through them, and she introduced me to the staff at Rinse, and from there I became a broadcast assistant. So I was just there pushing up the faders, triggering jingles, but while being there watching like the best DJs in the UK every day, in and out, studying, trying to absorb knowledge from them, and also just like meeting people, not pushing my music onto anybody, only talking about that really if they ask me, because I didn't want to be there like, hey, I'm at Rinse and I'm trying to like get in with everybody, and like that's never been my kind of vibe. I was more just like, let me soak information. If anyone wants to ask me a question or like is interested in what I do outside of me being here, then
I actually remember you saying that. I remember you saying, "Oh hi, my name's Jordan," and then Genius was like, "No, this guy's sick. You don't know JD REID," and I was like, "Oh, I made the connection." I was like, and you were exactly that. You were just like humble and in the room.
I've never been one to really force myself on people like that anyway. So yeah, I just thought, let me just be here, learn, absorb knowledge, and then one day Plastician was pre-recording his show next door. I thought, of everybody at this moment in time with the kind of things I'm making, he's probably going to be one of the people that is going to be, interested and might like this. So I said, can I give you a couple of tunes? And off the back of that, he then gave me the opportunity to release on his label.
And then how did that go down for you? Was that like, oh, this is a thing now? Like,
yeah. So I mean, it was massive for me because I've been a fan of Plastician for years anyway. And then, once that happened, I guess word got around a little bit that like, oh, the BA, he makes tunes, Plasticians put them out. And that's when Genius was like, would you be down to do something on Rinse? And then he linked me up with KEB. So I ended up making a record with her and Sasha Keeble for her album. I did a record on Sinead Harnett's EP as a result of being there as well. So yeah, it was kind of just being in that space. Like, I feel like I naturally was able to meet so many good people, and like a lot of them have now become like long-term friends and collaborators as well. Yeah. So it was a great place.
And probably the transition, I mean, obviously it makes sense just because of the Rinse family, but a lot of people might not handle that transition from like electronic producer to like, right, you're working with KEB who's had commercial success, like, right, you're going to make songs with choruses and structures and arrangements, and there's got to be a middle eight, and that must have been because of maybe you working being in certain rooms, that came more naturally to you? Or?
To be honest, I think that I always kind of had this real interest in songs in general. Like, as a kid, I would sit in the living room with headphones on and listen to albums front to back. Like, I had a lot of albums that I loved from really early on, and like I would do like odd things like pull the headphone halfway out the CD jack to hear like the isolated background vocals and like just things like that. I would read the notes of album covers, like lyrics, who did what, and all this kind of thing. So I feel like I don't know what it was, but I was always just really interested on like how a song is constructed. And like I do hear people say sometimes like arrangement is quite a tricky thing for them, and we all have our bits that we find more difficult about making songs, but I know that structure and arrangement is one thing that I've always has felt quite natural to me.
Do you have any sort of like background in playing instruments? Obviously you said you did piano lessons.
I did some piano lessons.
Do you ever play in bands and stuff like that?
No, I was never in a band. I think maybe a lot of it comes from like DJing in a way. Like, I learned how to mix really young. My cousin taught me that. He used to like, when his mates came over, he would get me to like show them that I could blend tunes when I was like 8 or something like that. I was like his like, oh, look at my cousin.
You can mix tunes at 8?
Yeah, he taught me how to like blend vinyl when I was young like that.
No one some people are just annoying because they're just too good at everything.
It's not even that. I spent a lot of time practicing it, and he used to really like drill me to be able to do it. But
what, on vinyl?
Yeah. But things like that, man.
8?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Summer holidays, I spent a lot of time at my cousin's house, and he had the Mad Garage and Jungle collection, so it was just like teaching me how to blend. I wanted to do what he was doing. He was like my older brother figure in that way. So.
And then, so kind of tell us, the transition from, those early days working around in the kind of the London scene, focused around those types of artists, around the Rinse family and stuff, how you kind of then started working with, some of the artists that you are like now quite close collaborators with, like Mahalia and stuff like that?
After I'd done like the KTB and like Sinead stuff, and then I had the more like underground UK rap stuff going on the side, like just started to just think about how we could branch out more, and started to just link up with other artists through like managers, connections, and like I guess because I'd worked with them too now, there was a bit more like leverage behind my name to be able to get in rooms with certain people. My manager at the time, Theo, his cousin was Mabel, and I got a session lined up with her. We made Finders Keepers on that day, which became like a top 10 tune, and like off the back of that I was able to sign a publishing deal, which then funded me to be able to go like full-time music and really bury myself in that. So kind of the stars kind of aligned in that I just had to leave. I had to leave working Rinse at that time. That tune came out, did great things for me, like it got on the radio and all that kind of stuff. So when that happens, you know, people want to work with you.
And that's quite an organic relationship, because Theo is also DJ Motive, who is part of Piff Gang and some of those nights, club nights you were talking about. Like,
it's literally just the majority of especially the early part of it has been like personal connection with people, you know, introduction, and like just things happening at the right time and right place in a way. Like, you know, you can put in so many hours into the craft, but there is also just the element of like, just meeting the right people in the right time and like the right thing happening in the room one day.
We're gonna kind of get into the nuts and bolts of like the Ableton session, but one thing that I've kind of always admired is like I was saying, kind of like the range. I can't remember which record it was, but it had like DWE and Henry Wu, even though we don't talk about him anymore, but it had like a bunch of people. Yeah. And I was like, right, this is not what I was expecting from a JD REID record. And I was like, remember playing on my Cheshire going, right, this is like, just kind of like, it feels like you've got your work acting out other people's visions with vocalists and singers and rappers, but you've kind of got always this kind of like creative outlet of your own vibe. Is that something that I'd say is fair to say?
Yeah, it's super important to me. Like, I love making songs with people. I love like seeing an artist that I like what they do already. I have an understanding of their world, and then seeing, well, what can I do to like, be in their world, but take them to a part of it they haven't been in before. I like trying to just expand on what's there and like do something with people that they haven't done before or might not have even thought about doing. But then on the other side, I still need to have my own place to like fully do all the madness that's in my head that I know I can't take to the session with this person, you know? And it's great because both sides of what I'm doing inform each other. Yeah. Like there's things that I wouldn't do in my own project unless I had been making songs with other people, and vice versa.
Yeah. So what are we going to look at today and break down and have a sort of get an idea of that sort of creative headspace?
So I wanted to look at one tune that I've done that's just come out on Jeshi's new album called Scumbag, which is, I guess, at the bottom of it all a rap tune, but it's not your standard rap tune either. And then I'm going to look at something that I've done myself on my last EP as well. And then if there's time, we'll just quickly go through and edit as well.
Yeah. I'm into that. Yeah, I got to say as well, I feel like Jeshi is one of the best lyricists in the country.
Yeah, he's sick, man. Like, I'm really happy that I got to be a part of this project. Like, we worked together a long time ago, like years ago, and we made something that was cool, but like, we just hadn't found our pocket at that time. And it's another thing about right time, right place. We came back years later. He came to my house, and on the first day, like, we just made a couple of tunes. We was like, okay, now we're locked in. Yeah. So
was that as part of TTY or was it TTY? What was the group?
I think he was out of TTY then, but it was just linking up to try and make something. But, yeah.
Let's have a listen. Should we just hear the master first before we kind of break down all the...
Yeah, let me get it on here. Shout out to mate. This tune is sick, by the way. If you haven't heard that, you should check it out. But...
Don't know if I'm on a high or scared, and I feel like the king of a pile of shit. With a haze and mist, got my brain all twisted, landing the skip. And I feel like the guy sometimes, I feel like the running the litter in your ass. Feel like I got it worked out, I feel like a cigarette stain on life. London City on edge, step over nitties on the park bench, don't expect less. I just wanna offend everyone I don't like, maybe you can impress with the rest. CP jacket in green, dank in the green in the queue for the cash machine. Feel like I'm fighting machines, warring with ghosts I can't ever see.
Scumbag in my DNA, man, we with EMA. Got some wrongs that I should right, but today is not the day. Scumbag in my DNA, man, we with EMA. Got some wrongs that I should right, but today is not the day.
Sick.
Yeah.
That,
so
that low end sounding pretty good on a Corsica sound system.
Yeah, it's nice.
So it's obviously Dizzy.
Yeah.
Dizzy on the sample.
Dizzy sample in there. But like,
is that like a pirate radio tape or something? Or like,
so this the Dizzy sample that's in there, so is from so another producer that I collaborate with quite a bit. His name's Tej. So I worked with him for the first time when I went to LA, and yeah, he's just an amazing producer in his own right. So I guess just to like give a bit of like context to the thinking and stuff before I even go into a session with someone like Jeshi is, I'm thinking about like, okay, I know his sound to as like, you know, you have as much as you do about them before they come and join in the room anyway, but I have an idea of what his music's like, and I'm like getting ideas ready. So when he comes here, I've got like melodies to play him or starting points, just something like, so we're not just both sitting here looking at me with a keyboard being like, all right, so what are we going to do today? So I have my ideas sort of already in a folder on the side there, and then, you know, we chat, I get more context about like what's he trying to do with this next record, and the brief, if you want to call it that, is kind of like he wants to make a rap album, but it feels like a dance record in a way.
Because it's very different to his last record as well, in terms of like sonically and the style.
Yeah, so I'm just like, cool. Well, I've got these samples here that I picked out already. I played him this sample from Tej with the Dizzy vocal in it. And let me just actually find the...
So you just played him the sample and then you built there from scratch in terms of like... Do you when you go into a room with someone, do you normally have prepared beats, or do you prefer to build something out with them?
Do you know what? For a long time, I would come and play beats for people, and in a lot of rap sessions, that works. But I find more and more these days that people want to write while you're building the beat. I think that way it doesn't feel like, you know, the producer's already done their bit, and I'm just sitting here waiting for you to write a song to it. Yeah. Also, then you can just really craft out like the song together, and I prefer working this way now as well.
So just to make sure it's productive, you would start with a Dizzy beat, just put together a basic drum loop, have him write, and then you kind of do your bit, or like...
Yeah, like, so we would have played this. So, you know, it's pretty much what it is, you know. Just that. So then, you know, we'll be like, cool, that's what we're running with. And then from there, I'll do a little... Wait. It's just a really light chop on this, like nothing major. You can tell I haven't changed the key of this or anything like that. So just choosing the bits. But then I'm like, cool, you know, he wants it to feel like a dance record, so the first thing I default to, like thinking, oh, Jeshi will sound cool on like some breaks kind of stuff, so I'll put this in here first. And then I'll be like, okay, let me test it with the sample and see.
And when you're in a room with an artist, is that like some kind of drum chops that you'd have pre-prepared and you would try at different things, or did you make that on the spot?
This I just would have flung in the original long break and then started trying to chop some kind of groove out of it. But then, like, you know, I know, okay, he's sitting down thinking about what's this song going to be about, you know. I've got a little bit of time to play around. I don't want to be too long because I want to keep the energy up in the session. So I just basically need to find like, because I've already got the melody lined out here, I'm just like, right, let me find the pocket of the groove for the drums. Once I've got that, I know it's just a case of like getting moving, and then I can just fill it out, you know. So yeah, the most important thing is like melody that the artist likes, and then finding the groove to sit with it. After that, the rest is just like dressing up the song. So I had that, yeah, and I'm like, this is cool, but it's not really, I don't know, it's just not the pocket that I want. So I just gotta like just mess it up a little bit basically. So I'll slap halftime on it. That changes the groove instantly. Put a cassette sort of plug in just to make it more dirty. And then now I know that like, okay, I can, from here I can kind of hear where I want to go with the pocket anyway. So then I'll re-sample this, record it in, and then just do some more chops on it. Now, like, from here I can hear, right, I can just hear where the beat's gonna go from here, you know? I'm thinking like Gorillas, like just a UK kind of bounce, I guess.
That thought process of going, right, I'm gonna go breaks to like actually let me halftime it. Is that something you do collaboratively with Jeshi and be like, what do you think it is? Should we try this out? Or is it just he's in his zone, you're in your zone?
At this point, yeah, he's in his zone and I'm in mine. I'm just trying to like, I just want to give him what the groove of this is going to be so that he can figure out at least what flow he's going to do on it, because I'll hear him in the room being like, you know, like just, you know, finding where he's going to sit in this. So the sooner I get that for him, the more chance there is that he's going to be able to get the idea out. So like when you're doing sessions with artists, it's so different to like when you're doing something for yourself, because it's kind of like
there's a bit of pressure as well.
Yeah, there's like a lot of pressure. Like you want to come through, they want to come through, but I feel like the pressure is definitely more on the producer than the artist, you know? Because no matter how...
Because if it goes badly, they'll blame you as well.
Yeah, I mean, no matter how good you might think your beat is, like if the artist didn't get on it, then it's like, you know, it's just one of them ones. So at least I know if I'm like, right, let me try and fire through this as quick as I can. And if we catch a vibe, we can keep going and see it through to the end. Even if like, you know, we get this to a place, he gets the first verse down, we have a second to reflect on it. Like there's enough there to give the vision to both of you of whether or not this is something that you want to see through, or are we going to start another idea? And the thing with Jeshi in particular as well is like he's very much like, if we don't have this thing in like this special window, then he's like, let's try another one, man. It's never like, oh no, this isn't it, but it's like let's try another idea and then maybe we can revisit it. It's actually quite a nice way to work. You know, some people just, if the first idea is not there, it's like kind of hard for them to. And then they're just spending the whole session
trying to force it, make it work.
Yeah, like I mean, some days it goes like that, and that's fine. Not every day you're gonna get something great, but like, yeah, you really wanna.
And then what happened next in the process after you kind of got the basic kind of drum sound?
So now I've got this going. And then I'm just gonna keep like gradually fleshing out the drums. So yeah, just adding in like just layer at a time. I'm just flicking through all my drum samples that I have in my folders on the side here, like all these splice kits and stuff. Just trying to add more and more on that front. And at this stage, now the drums are like patterned out, and I know that this is enough for him to just be rolling with what we're doing. Then after that, I'm like, okay, well, the next obvious thing to add into this is bass. And seeing as we're on the kind of like, I've used a break and it's got a UK like sort of club dance element, I'm like, well, let me use this sort of bass sound, you know, like this kind of Reese, you know. But then
what instrument are you using for that?
This is Massive X, and it's just like a preset in there, this sub breeze bass. I might have like tweaked the cutoff a little bit, but for the most part that's what it is. And because we're making a rap song, then, you know, after the Reese, we just gotta have an 808 in there, because that goes as standard. And at this stage, like, the beat is... Let me leave his vocal for now. The beat is... Yeah, the beat's kind of fleshed out, and I know at this stage, like, once a vocal's on it, there's not really much more this is gonna need than probably taking things away at this point. The right cuts and, like, yeah.
When you're making a song like this with a big Dizzy sample, are you thinking vibes as well, or are you thinking, is this sample gonna get cleared?
Yeah, in the back of both of our minds from the beginning, it was like, I hope Dizzy can clear this, you know. So yeah, that's always an issue, and that is part of the reason why these days, like, I'm happy. It's funny with this one because it's got a Dizzy sample in it anyway, but I'm happy to like use samples from a select bunch of people that I have personal relationships with.
You know Dizzy?
No, not Dizzy, but Teach.
Okay. Yeah.
Like, a lot of the time I'd rather take samples from other producers than sampling records and stuff anymore, because it's a lot of headache, you know. And you know, you could put a lot of love and time into a song, but when it gets to that stage, it just makes it really difficult.
And how much of your production is sample based as opposed to, you know, just kind of like coming up with your own chord progressions and working from there? Or?
I guess at the moment, like, when it comes to me making songs with other people, I guess the past few months I've been making a lot more of my own samples, because I realized that I've been using a lot from other people. So yeah, then he had his first verse down, and I'll just play that to you. So what he's talking about in this song is being young and like doing madness. So something that we decided to do was pitch up his lead vocal just up like a tone.
It's almost like the vocal processing has got like a pirate radio FM vibe to match the Dizzy thing. Or
No, you're right, man, because like we've got so on the bus here, is it on? Yeah, it's on the lead vocal. There's just like a speakery effect. I think it's actually more on the BVs than the lead, but yeah.
You got one pitched up an octave, you said, and then what's...
So this is pitched up like a tone, and then these guys are just normal, but they're processed. Yeah, so just trying to get like... Jesse's really into like doing mad stuff with his vocals. This one isn't like one of the craziest for that, but I like love getting layers out of people as well. So I'll get him doing.
I would also not discredit you in being. Last time I saw you, was like, I loved your Tape Notes podcast, and actually, when we broke down Mahalia's vocals, which is totally different vibe, it's like an R&B thing. The different layering of the vocals was like, it was something that it feels inherent in a lot of your work, maybe with that kind of using the voice as an instrument within the arrangement and the production and stuff.
Listening to people like Busta Rhymes and Outkast and like
Ad-lib
Ad-lib. Also just seeing like, I love it when artists have more than one voice. Everybody has more than one voice in them. It's just like that thing of leaning into it can make such a big difference for a song. So like, if I go through each of these BVs, he's probably doing something quite... We've got the low tone there. There might be like two of these. Yeah, but just crunched up. I reckon the next one might be like
what are you using for that distorted vocal? Give us the plugins, man.
There's a lot on this train. So two Pro Qs.
A lot of Pro Q freeze.
Yeah, a lot of those. The DSR and the RVox. This part here that you're seeing is like the standard sort of chain that I'll use. It's a lot of EQ, mostly reduction. Because they always said to me, everybody reduce rather than boost. But then...
When you say they, have you ever had any kind of like mentors?
They is just everyone, like, you know, you watch any video on YouTube about EQ, it's always like, always reduce, never boost. But actually, I did see, I've forgotten his second name, but he's Young Thug's vocal engineer, Alex Toomey. There you go. He was like, if there's a problem in your vocal chain, never try and fix it at the end, always start at the beginning. So that sort of really stayed with me. So shout out Alex Toomey. I should have remembered his name. But so when he said that, I sort of just tried to now always get rid of the problems in the sound of a vocal at the start of the chain. Yeah. I should say as well, like, this whole tune is done on an SM7, which is like...
That's quite a basic Shaw mic, right? Isn't it? Or
well, apparently Michael Jackson used it, so you know,
really?
I was trying to say, well, if it's good enough for Michael Jackson, then everybody can use that mic. But people say about the gain is quite low in it and things like that. But I've got like a decent preamp that I use with it, and it's not like the brightest mic or anything, but I found by doing a lot of reduction at the front and then using like this multi-band compressor quite intensely, I get the sort of brightness out of it. And this is just a sort of the chain that works for me now. There's no right or wrong.
You got a little alter boy at the end.
Yeah, so this is where the distortion is coming from. Look, I've driven it all the way. There's two of them, and this one's got the maximum drive again with the formant on it as well. So that's where you're getting that just over the top distortion. But it's tucked in, it's quiet behind, so it's not poking out too much.
Yeah. Different pannings as well.
Yeah, just making things wide. And then in the back of all of it, I got him shouting here, I think. So there's a lot of layers of vocals here, but...
Or just like really
just put in the right place, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, and you know, once he's got that first verse there, we've got this section. Like, the tune is not really asking for much more, like I said, than just like reducing at that point.
And presumably a lot of this layering stuff is something you're doing your own time.
I try and get it, like,
you get it in there
as close as I can, like while we're doing it, and having that like set vocal chain that I know is gonna do enough at the start. It helps me get to that a lot quicker. You know, like, there's probably people in this room that have done sessions with people and they're like, just want the vocal to, like, you know, they might not always be able to articulate it right, but it's like they want the vocal to sound, you know, just how they want it to write to them, you know? So like, if you know that you have your set chain that works to an extent, it just helps you get to that like a little bit quicker, I find.
I also remember that interview. You've got a thing of powering through until you've got the second verse, and you've got all the bits. Yeah. So, you know, rather than like record a verse and chorus, but like, let's do another session. Well, that song might never get finished. You actually make sure you have what you need before they leave.
Yeah,
right?
I want a first, second verse and the chorus. If it's like an R&B song, I'd probably want a pre or like some ad libs just to like, you know, to be able to take all the parts that have been done on the day, dress it up and present it back to the artist and make them feel like, wow, we went in on this on that day. And as a producer, we're only really able to do that if we have everything we need from the artist as well. Can't always force it with everybody, but if they're down, and I would say in this case, like Jeshi in particular, he's very like proactive in the studio. He wants to get 3 tunes in a day. So it's like, all right, this is the opportunity for us to go in and try and get it like as close to done as we can.
I remember you saying like, I'll buy you dinner, let's get it finished. You know, like, are you hungry? Let's like eat and finish, like, you know. Yeah,
sometimes you just got to push through.
Yeah. You know, should we go to some of your like solo stuff?
Yeah.
What are you thinking next?
Yeah, so this tune's called Where the Flowers Grow, and I made this for my last project, Sometimes I Wonder 002, and it features Joe Armand Jones, who's done a talk here as well.
Yeah, with Maxwell. Yeah.
And just wanted to sort of get across that, like, this with Jeshi is one way of doing things, but when it comes to my own stuff, I'm not under that like immediate time pressure. I still carry over an element of like, I want the idea to catch me quick enough to see it through, but it's not as
obviously you have collaborated with Joe, who's a sick producer in his own right, but most know him as keys player, Ezra Collective. I would say virtuostic, is that the word? But do you have a preference of like working with collaborators or just kind of working on your solo stuff, or do you feel like you need both for you to reach kind of fulfillment in your personal creative?
It's like different songs ask for different things from people, you know. In this case, I could see a space for somebody to play on it, and I'm lucky enough to know Joe, who's like obviously one of the best keys players we have in the country, in the world, whatever. So I reached out to him for this because I could hear Joe would be sick on this. I was just happy when he was like, yeah, I'm down to get on it, to be honest.
Should we hear a quick blast of the master?
Yeah.
Definitely what I say about range is definitely you can hear it, you know. Like,
cheers, bro.
Yeah.
Hey, thank you.
We can clap for that. We can clap for that one for sure. So where'd you start with something like that?
So this I was like thinking that I just wanted to make something that was kind of like I guess homage to a lot of sounds that I love. I'm a massive Flying Lotus fan. I listen to a bunch of Knowledge and Mind Design beats. I guess I just like, I love stuff that knocks, has the chords, has like, feels like kind of outer space, like plants, hence why the flowers grow. Stuff that feels natural but has the weight of like bassy electronic music. So I'm kind of going into this just thinking I want to create something that feels kind of outer space but like still has bounce, because everything I do, I just want to make sure that like it's got that groove to it.
Do you go with that kind of intention when you step up to a Blank Ableton project? I
think for this, because I was thinking about this project and like wanting to basically, this Sometimes I Wonder series is like 3 separate EPs that once they're all out, I intended for them to be listened to as one project. So hopefully when it comes out, you guys will do that. And I just wanted to like try and make music that really felt like a journey, not things all coming, you know, from one specific sound or place. Hopefully you can feel the thread and hear me in all of the music. But I wanted to just like make some things that I haven't made before. And like, just step into some new spaces. This still references things that I've made before, but I just don't think I've leaned like this far in.
A new spin on it.
Yeah.
Let's see where you started.
So I started with these strings, which hold on, are half timed right now, but it would have started just like this. So I remember this is like the first. I just put my hand on the keys and played this chord. in this this contact patch by a company called Slate and Asher called Landforms, and this has the craziest string sounds in it. So I started off there, and then, you know, I just like double the channel. All right, I'm like, cool, that's there. Let me just keep going. So the next thing is it's another Slate and Ash contact patch. I got these when they were like.
What's all this stuff?
This is a preset.
Looks pretty.
Yeah. So I'm just like, yeah, finding the sound, just playing over it. And then I need one more thing after that. Is this. So I'm trying to find something in the melody that I can hear a pocket for drums in.
And as you studied piano, are you just sitting there jamming until you're like, right, that's good, loop that, or like?
I think it's when, like, I did piano lessons up to like grade 2, and that was when I was in secondary school. So after that, I kind of lost the ability to be able to really play like sheet music or anything like that. Now a lot of it is just shapes.
Are you drawing MIDI or you?
No, like I'm playing on the keys, but I just know, like, I know sort of chord shapes that I default to, or I'll try and like learn other songs and like lift those chords and repurpose them and play them in different keys and things like that. So yeah, I just be searching for the chords inside things. So I have this, and then from there I started to record loads of vocals myself. So I'll just sit there with the SM7 and put my headphones on and just have this going around on loop. And then just find like one vocal line at a time that sort of works. So I'll just add these in, and I never show anyone this because I'm making some crazy sounds right now, but as it's a special occasion, I'll show you guys. So I put on like auto-tune on the way in, subtle, but like, yeah. So my missus and my kids will be outside the door hearing me make some crazy sounds, and they're just like looking at me now and then like, what are you doing in there? But
and are you recording these vocals to layer in, or are you recording this to almost think what the next melody line is?
No, this is being recorded in with the intention of like, I'm going to use this like it's a synth. Okay. Well, like, I just want to sample myself.
Oh, basically. And then you resample it.
Yeah, so I'll just keep putting these. Yeah.
And what are you using for the auto-tune? Antares? Or?
Antares, yeah, but I was using the UAD one just as... Yeah, it will make sense soon.
And maybe it's the auto-tune, but it sounded pretty decent.
It's definitely the auto-tune.
Okay.
I think I've got better from practicing, but it's... Yeah, without the tune, I would not show you guys this.
Give us like one bar, like no auto-tune.
It's printed to the audio. Yeah. So, yeah, there's all of those there. And then I'll duplicate this whole group section and pitch it up an octave. So now with the synth parts as well, it's like this. I'm like, yeah, this is alright. But let me do something to make it weirder. So I slap halftime on it.
You love yourself a bit of halftime.
I love halftime. Yeah. It's one of the best plugins for me because it also just like the slight shifts in timing that it does. It just creates like a whole new groove and stuff. So I have this now, and then I'm like, okay, maybe this can feel like more of a, I don't know, like a real beats sort of thing. So
nice.
But I'm like, it works, but you know, it's not how I want it to be though. So I'll put halftime on that as well. I'm like, Okay, that's a pocket where I can hear the rest of the beat coming from. So now I will take all of this melody stuff and just record it out, just like let it loop out and have it on its own channel over here. Now, and I know, keeping in mind what I've just done with those drums over there, I want that kind of pocket that's like, I'll just introduce like the elements sort of one at a time so you can hear, but a lot of the time, the first like element in drums I'll add, particularly when I'm working on like my own stuff, is I'll take like a weird static or percussive loop of some sort and chop that up and try and find a groove within that itself.
So what do you mean? Like,
so this, for example, yeah, if I just stretch it out, hold on. This is something that Mike Gal made. Shout out to Mike Gal. It's just this, right? He's got like mad like modular synths and stuff, and yeah, he just has some bits like that. So I'll just find little bits in this and like arrange it out. You can see how the pieces are broken up here.
Yeah.
And I'm just getting that to like sort of sit in some kind of groove in itself.
You have a thing of like always having sort of like textures, whether it's like field recordings and stuff, right?
Always. It's got to have some rain, some birds, like something like that in there.
Just like ear candy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And thinking about the other halftime drums that I had from the other thing, like here's that rhythm now. So it's just a case of then building it out some more. Just finding...
Seems like you work mainly with audio rather than programming drums with MIDI or drum rack.
Yeah, these days it's pretty much always like this. I used to do a lot more playing things in like on the keyboard, but when I moved to Ableton, I just found that it works so well with audio that I just can get the idea out quicker this way. So yeah, now that I have this, that's kind of the basis of where the song goes from. Now I'm just thinking about how I can make it so that every 16 bars we go somewhere else. There's some sort of change or interesting thing happening.
And this is the one with Joe on it, right?
Yeah.
So where does Joe come in?
So I'd fleshed out most of the beat before I even hit Joe about this. Like he was just like the last addition to it because I felt like it still needed.
This is right up his street as well. He likes like dub and sound system.
Yeah, I felt like it definitely lended itself to something he would get on. So yeah, I have these drums, and then I'm just like, you can hear all the vocals pitched down doing their thing. I think it's probably best if I just let it run and I can speak through the bits as they come. So I'm just thinking one piece at a time, like what I can add to just keep it progressing. So like these piano chords, they're real subtle, and I have these little swells that I've recorded from my Prophet going into Chase Bliss. What's the pink pedal called? My mind's gone blank, but it's basically like a crazy delay reverb pedal. Someone know what that is? Anybody? A guitar pedal, yeah. Okay. Chase Bliss pedals. Anyone in here? No, I suggest everyone gets Chase Bliss pedals. They're sick.
I kind of thought maybe a lot of your stuff's all in the box, but do you use a lot of?
So when I got a Prophet 10 and I got a couple pedals going into there, a Fairchild one and this Chase Bliss. Oh man, I wish I could remember what it's called.
In the YouTube video, you know that thing where it does we can say what actually.
Yeah,
when you remember the name
there. But
you guys will have to watch the YouTube video now.
It's a crazy reverb echo sort of pedal. So I'm just like trying to create ear candy here that sits with these with this main melody. So this is straight off the Prophet as well.
And this is still you, this is not Joe?
Yeah, this is still me here. And then after that, I know I had this moment in the beat where I wanted to transition into something. So I added these vocals. I used the same technique that I just showed on the other one, just doing it bit by bit.
So it's from your original, you recording your yourself.
Yeah, so this is after we've done the other vocal part. I've fleshed out this beat now. I know the bounce, I know the pocket, all that stuff. And I just know that at this point in the instrumental, I was like, right, we're going to go somewhere else here. And I wanted a kind of odd transition to do it. So I added those vocal parts and just this distorted bass. Like that.
How'd you get that? Is that resampling?
That is... How did I do that? Using this plugin Rift.
I love Rift. Oh my god, I use it on everything.
Halogenic showed me this. He said he's an amazing drum and bass producer, if you don't know him, but he said that the trick to getting sick bass sounds is just put Rift on something, go through it, and then add another riff on it, and just keep going until you find what you're looking for.
I like this guy.
Yeah. So I used that on there, and then originally before Joe was on it, it just went back to the sample playing here, but I then messaged Joe and I was like, "Yo, can I send you this? Would love to have you play on it." And
oh, so you weren't in the room?
No, we weren't in the room, and then he sent me, I think, 1 or 2 long takes of him playing just over the whole thing. When you link Joe in person and you're like, "Yo, can you play on something?" You better make sure that you press record straight away, because as soon as you play it, he's just like gone. And if you miss it, like, it's not going to be the same ever again. But yeah, it's quite an amazing thing to see.
I've seen it in the flesh. Yeah,
it's crazy.
Yeah.
So yeah, he sent me this long take of Rhodes, which is here. So I'm gonna play. Sorry, I'm talking a lot.
Nah, I knew this would happen. I'm like, hopefully we've got time for the DJ edit, but this is like fascinating, so I'm good. Keep going.
Cheers, man. Yeah, so he just went crazy on it, and then, you know, when he sent me this and I just played it over the top, I really felt like the way he was playing was so conversational. I don't know what exactly he's saying, but it really feels like he's talking on this song. So I wanted to introduce him early on. Where is that? Okay, cool. Yeah, I wanted to introduce him early on, but when it got to this point in the song, I needed Joe to like have his moment. So I introduced him here and then just let the solo play out, basically.
So I just want to make sure that you guys always have an opportunity to ask Jordan questions. So we're gonna think about that. As you were saying.
Nah. So yeah, after Joe's parts are in here and I've let him speak across this part of the song, it's like, yeah, it's basically done.
Sick.
Yeah.
Do you think we've got time to look at a DJ edit?
Yeah, I can just bang through that real quick.
Because for sure, I think it's like a staple in the record box, having some JD REID edits on the playlist. So yeah, I definitely would like to.
Yeah, we'll do this one quick. I'm gonna do one called Anti-Bump and Night Overdub, which uses elements of Anti-War Dub by Mahalia, Baby by Overmono, Bump and Grind by M-Dubs, but originally it's another tune by Lady Saw, and it also has Night by Benga and Koki in it, and the last tune is Skeng by The Bug.
Just like, how many bangers can you put in in one?
I do these so that, like, because there was one time I played out and I played Anti-War Dub and Baby together. Like I blended those two tunes, and like I make these sometimes because
you're like, oh,
I can't
that
play.
Worked.
Yeah, it worked, but like I don't always want to have to play all of every tune that I can't fit everything I want to play into one set basically, because I play cross genre anyway. So I'm like, let me make these mashups and use them as segues to get to other things.
I think it's maybe slightly also the era of like Living Proof, License to Trill, all these that like quick fire impact DJing of like you just need the hook. You just need the hook. Next one, you know, like
verse, chorus, and then into the next tune, isn't it? But so basically, when it comes to edits, for me now, Serato is your best friend because the separation in there can allow you to do crazy things like, you know, just
isolate the drums,
strip the parts out that you need, you know.
Do you Serato Studio within Ableton as well?
No, I just do it all in here.
That's
and then record it.
That's the next thing, is it makes not having to export it. It's
so with this one, I think originally I wanted to just flip the M-Dubs tune, not N-Dubs, M-Dubs, Bump and Grind. So I knew that I wanted to use this Lady Saw vocal. Baby, are you up for this? We ready for the bump and grind? And rather than taking it from the M-Dubs tune, I took it from the original. Which I had to source because I didn't actually know the original tune, but I found that, isolated that vocal, and then where does it start? Sorry. Yeah. Then I'm just thinking like, okay, what tunes work in what key together? Like what could I mix all of these different tunes with? So I knew the first thing was like, Anti-War Dub. So I have those drums going there, but I think it's a vinyl rip version that I had, so I had to layer those drums myself. And I want to try and get the actual
like the snare patterns as well.
Yeah, but the tone of the snare as well has to be the same as the original, so it feels like the original, but even if it's not. Then slowly build in my own percussion on top of it.
So actually a lot of production's kind of gone into it. It's not just
in like this one, it's not always like this. Sometimes, you know, you don't need as many elements.
It's like vocal, bass, drums, 3 different songs, sick. But this actually looks like you put a lot of...
Yeah, I put some time into this one. I layered that out. So I'm just trying to get through this as quick as I can. And then I was like, cool, rather than using the Anti-War Dub bass, we'll use the bass from Baby, the over mono tune. So this is done using the Serato separation, but I wasn't getting that same buzziness that the original over mono tune had, so I used Rift on it as well. A little sidechain going on off of the kick. And then I'm thinking about, after that, let me add the Lady Saw vocal. Oh, sorry, on solo too many things. Oh no, it's cool. Cool, that's working. And the over mono tune's called Baby, so you know it has she says baby in the vocal sample. So I'm thinking about how does this all tie together at the same time. So for example, when it comes back in here, I use the Baby from over mono's version rather than Lady Saw saying it. It's just like Easter eggs for people if you're paying that much attention to it. Last thing after that is like, cool, I could do with one more bit of ear candy in the main part of what this is. So everybody knows night. I know it's gonna go off if I play it out, but let me flip it a little bit and do the backwards night. You know? And then use the melody from the M-Dubs tune, but in the night sound.
Is this you just being like, right, they're all in the same key and then just working these little, almost like they're almost like nods to each other.
Yeah, that's it. I'm just trying to be like, for anybody who knows every single tune in this, you're gonna be like, I swear that's the thing from Night. Oh, and he used that bit from that. And I just want that element of like, for me, when you're doing an edit and you want it to ring off in the club, you want those bits of people to be like, that's that. That's the kind of thing that I want to get out of people. And I know that in this tune, there's going to be younger people that won't know all the older ones, but there'll be other people that have been, they were at Plastic people that will know, oh, that's that tune from then, or, I'm trying to, not just cater for.
It's a little bit like, those pub quizzes where they pay you like 4 seconds of a tune.
Literally.
Bango and Cokie.
Yeah, man. Last element. Sorry. Go. And then I'll stop. Yeah.
You can't rush the process, Sean. We need to hear the last element.
Breakdown section. After this is just where I put in the bass from Skeng. Just for like.
Why not?
Why not?
You've already got like 6 in there.
Yeah. Why not, man? And then last build up with the over mono bass again, and then last drop.
Sick.
That's it, man.
I think I'm glad we sneaked that in because it brings a whole nother kind of like fun DJ
element. This is fun, man. I make the rule for myself not to spend ages doing these either. It's like I can't,
How long would that put you to put together?
This one, the core.
That looks quite complex.
Yeah, there's more in this than usual, but the core of this is like a 30-minute. Like once I know
30 minutes.
Yeah, once I know the bits that's going to be in this, it's like let me just.
Sorry, I'm like DJing at 8, 30 minutes. It's
not finished in 30 minutes and mixed, but I know what this is going to be in that window.
Yeah.
But I've been training myself and to be like, let me get through this quick, which is why sometimes I'm able to just
Sick. Well, big up. We probably don't have too much time, but it'd be nice to have some questions from the room if anyone has anything. Just stick your hand up.
Do you mix your own stuff?
My own original music, I mix that myself. But working with other artists, a lot of the time it goes to external engineers. But even when it does, I still try to be as across those mixes as I can, because there is, not with every engineer, but there is a tendency sometimes for them to, without even consciously doing it a lot of the time, like re-envision the sound of the song. So over time, I actually try to give less stems to engineers, so there's less chance of it changing from what it is when we made it. No disrespect to engineers, because there's a lot of amazing ones, and they all do great things for music. But if you want to keep it as close to your sound as you can, then sometimes giving them less to work with is actually better for that.
Yeah, if you've kind of got it into a place that you're happy with, like actually giving them less so that it keeps your stylistic choices intact.
Yeah,
creative choices intact.
Just want them to clean up what you've done rather than change it.
That actually looked like the hardest thing to mix. I'm like, God, that's like
this was a difficult one to mix. Yeah. This took me longer than some of the other ones to mix.
Yeah, I just want to say amazing breakdowns, by the way, man.
Thank you, man.
Nice.
Is that Hagen?
Yeah.
Oh, shout out Hagen. Okay. Man, like.
Yeah.
I just wanted to ask about like your creative process in general. You've been making music for years now, so how do you step in front of your laptop to generate even more ideas? Like, what's the process? Are you starting off with melodies, or are you starting off with drums, or does it just differ as time goes on? And
I've always been melody first, even if it's a percussive element with some kind of melody in it. That's always been the thing that steers the direction of what I make from there. I guess, just to keep it exciting, it's like every now and then I'll just have to find a new crazy plugin that just mashes up the things that I would usually do to help me find something new to grow from that. Like at the minute, you can probably tell it's halftime. That's what's giving me life at the moment. But in 6 months there might be something else. So just introducing something new to your process, or something like that, to keep it new every time is important.
You're a bit of a plug-in addict. When Black Friday comes around, you go ham.
Yeah.
Same. I think most of the people in this room probably are. That's a good one to end it with then. Thank you so much for your time, showing your process.
Thank you.
And thank you for being an amazing crowd. But everyone give it up for JD REID, please.
Thank you, guys.